Welcome to the podcast Komodo. My name is Christina Petersen, and I'm a Feldenkrais practitioner in Germany, in Lübeck. And I do these interviews with people who are highly fascinated from the Feldenkrais method. And today, my guest is Angela. And Angela lives in Australia. So she is quite on the opposite side of the world from me. And I sent you a warm hello to Australia. Hello, Angela.
Hello, thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm in Adelaide, South Australia, in the middle of Australia, and it's my early evening, and it's early morning for you. Is that right?
Oh, not early, so it's a very good time for me. It's around 10 o'clock. So
oh, good.
I had coffee and a breakfast, and also I meet with some colleagues in the morning. So I also had my Feldenkrais lesson this morning and interchange with colleagues. So it was a very good morning.
Fantastic. Yeah. So thank you for having me on.
Yes, and you see, I'm also like to practice the Feldenkrais method, and so I ask myself every time when I meet colleagues, I ask them, where was your first time you had contact with the method?
Interesting story, actually.
Yes.
I was fresh out of my dance training. I did 3 years at university, and before that I did a year-long dance training. So I was very, good dancer, and I thought, I know my body, I'm amazing. And I met my Feldenkrais teacher. He was actually at a dance party, and he was a DJ. He was producing music, a lot older. And I knew that he'd done some movement stuff. Didn't really understand the name or what it was about, and started asking him about it. I live in Adelaide and he lived in Melbourne. So the first time I went to Melbourne, I actually did a full day workshop in the Feldenkrais method, thinking, oh, I move really great and I'm so fantastic. And it really blew my mind at how much I didn't know. And part of that journey, I was also breakdancing at the time. So, breakdance is quite extreme moves. And one of the moves called the windmill, which is the one where you're rolling around on your shoulders and your legs are flying in the air. If you go and look up the windmill, you'll be like, oh, that's a tricky move. And I was trying it. And my teacher said to me, why don't you go slow? And I thought, well, if you see the windmill, you know that it needs momentum to get your legs around and spin around. So I tried what he asked me to do after the workshop this was. And just over a very short time doing these slow movements, I was able to master that move very quickly, a lot shorter time frame than my other breakdancing friends and community. So I was hooked from that moment.
So that's very interesting. I think that you had to be much slower and to do something much faster. But maybe you remember, what did the DJ say to you? What was so interesting for you that you were so hooked also in this moment, only by speaking at the party, or that, yes, where was the click to say, okay, when I'm in Melbourne, I will go to a workshop with him?
I can't remember exactly, but I do remember how he moved. And here I was, I'd spent years training as a dancer in front of many, many dance teachers and yoga practitioners as well. I also did years of yoga. And he was this person who was a music producer and he moved so elegantly. So I thought, well, there must be something in this. He wasn't a dancer. He wasn't a yoga teacher. So that's really what drew my attention. The conversation he had, I believe it just went over my head. I just went, oh, that sounds interesting. And wow, okay, you know, brain, whatever, you know, I was quite young. But yeah, the quality of his movement. And when I first went to Melbourne, he did a judo roll. You know, it's something that we do in the Feldenkrais method. And it was just so like, whoosh, you know, and I was like, wow, yeah. So that's what really got me inspired, the movements that he was doing.
And to go on with your journey into the Feldenkrais method, so that was the first step to find out, okay, if I go slow, maybe I can go faster or learn faster. And how does your elegancy changed?
Yeah.
Maybe also, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So it was very soon after that. I think I only did maybe 1 or 2 workshops, a couple of lessons, and then I decided to do my Feldenkrais professional training program. So this was in 2000. It's 20 years now since I started my professional training program. And throughout that training, I was still dancing. I was still teaching dance. And there was one moment within that training, we were doing the sitting, it's a series called Sitting on the Heels. Do you know that one? Yeah. And I had this a realization of how my pelvis moved through space. Here I was, a dancer, thinking, you know, I know how amazing I am, and yet this profound, clear sense of my pelvis came up through that series. So, and my dancing really changed from feeling stiff or not being able to express so much through my upper body to be able to feel a lot freer through my thoracic area as well. So, and that's what I like to pass on to dancers now.
Yes, that's, yeah, I think for a moment, I think this is so key for explaining what the Feldenkrais method can change in each of the lives of our listeners, or yeah, that maybe you can explain a little bit more deeper or something. Yes, I go back to the times I was new in the Feldenkrais method, or I hear of it. Okay, pelvis. Okay, I can understand my pelvis. That's very important to know where it is, and that I might not know how to move. But what does it has to do with the upper chest or spine? Or yes.
Oh, interesting you say that. The lesson that I taught this week, just yesterday, is part of a series I'm doing at the moment called, and it's a Froggy series. So what we do in the lesson we did yesterday is it's quite, you think it's quite easy, and yet when you do it, you're like, oh, it is hard to differentiate these movements. So what you do is lying on the ground, and we have our legs in a frog position where the knees are out to the side and the feet are together. So you're lying on your back. And basically we're listening to how to extend the legs and move them up without doing much movements through the lower back, trying to keep the lower back in a certain shape, but then also soften the chest in that movement. Because when we soften the chest, because often we're moving our legs, but we're pulling and doing extra work through our chest or our lower back, when that doesn't need to happen. You can actually just move the legs without pulling through the thoracic spine or moving the lower back. So in the Feldenkrais method, we know that as differentiation. And it was an interesting conversation I had with my students after that, because some of them found that really quite difficult to be able to move their legs and not have anything happen in the upper body. So that's where it comes into just being able to hold the pelvis, move the legs, and not have much go on through the upper body.
Yes, now today for me it's so obvious, and it's not only obvious because it's like clear, like if you have a domino effect that you move something and everything is connected in our skeleton, so it's not piece by piece and you can push only a button. So if something moves, something there's an effect on it.
Yes.
Today it's also felt, but oh no, I lost a bit my red thread, but I think it's not so important. I start again and the people can come with me. It's that everything is connected. And if we think of ourselves, it's not connected, we move like this. And this causes so many problems, because then we have movements which are not coming together. It's like to build a bridge from there to there, and they can't connect, and the cars will falling down if they want to go over this. And this falls into our body and does also something like hurting yourself, or that you age earlier. That's also a key point, I think. What do you mean?
What do I mean?
Yeah, do you agree, or you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I agree. But in using differentiation, then what happens is everything moves with a better quality, because instead of employing muscles that don't need to work for the task at hand, they know they don't need to tense or tighten or activate. So therefore, you have a more fluid movement. It's fascinating when you come to realize this. And what we call that is parasitic action, when a muscle is activated and it doesn't need to activate.
Yes, that's the other thing, yes, that you can feel where you do extra work which not is necessary. Yes, the parasitic who feeds, who eats yourself, your energy, like. Yes, it is like this.
And the result, we move more fluidly, we have more energy at the end of the day. I mean, who doesn't want to have more energy to, do the things that we love to do at the end of the day and not be so tired or lethargic because we've been using all this extra effort with our bodies. Yeah.
Okay, I see the steps in this conversation. First, you were hooked by the quality of the movements of the man. Then you saw, okay, slow is something what will help me in the first thing. Then easier, more elegant. And how was your journey further on? What did you discover more in the Feldenkrais method?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, because the other part to my story in Feldenkrais is coming to realize the effects on anxiety and the effects of, I was, my last born son was 6 years ago. He's a gorgeous little sparky 6-year-old now. But I was going through quite a challenging time during the birth of, when I was pregnant with him. And I was sent to a relaxation class. I thought, great, I could do some relaxation and get more in touch with my body, in touch with and we're doing this breathing lesson in the class. And they were asking me to listen to the sounds inside the room, the sounds outside the room. And I was thinking to myself, actually, I know other lessons that can take me deeper into how to breathe better, that may give me more of a sense of what's going on with my breath. And that's when I rediscovered the breathing lessons of the Feldenkrais method. So I came to the method to improve my dance. But during that time, I became more aware of the more subtle classes or lessons, the group lessons we have in our method, that helps lower those stress levels, helps deal with the psychological, chatter that may happen with some people. So I learnt, I went back and did all these breathing lessons, which I kind of skipped over when I first did the Feldenkrais method, because I wanted to do the judo rolls and the more expansive lessons coming as a dancer and a break dancer. So that's that discovery was really profound for me. And that's when I actually opened my Feldenkrais practice. Before that, I had been just working with dancers and working, not really doing full group lessons, but just incorporating it into my dance classes. But then I realized, no, this work, so many people can benefit from it. So many people live with that extra chatter that doesn't need to happen. Yeah.
Yes, and we have the emotional side, so that everything is together. You can't cut it into something. It's good to know, like you say, to think about differentiation. Some kind of emotional stuff is connected with a certain posture. And if you differentiate, if you look closer, it can be divided in something and stand alone, and also, yes, can go away or can be better integrated in the life. I don't know to say it in other words, but I think you understand, and hopefully we can bring this more in a way to understand for people who are maybe not so in touch with the method. But I know when I talk to people who come into my Feldenkrais practice, maybe first I'd say, okay, my shoulder and then my back. But after some lessons, then they say to me, but there's something else in this method. Yes, recently I had a client, she is a person who rides a lot, and her horse isn't so good at the moment, and she has to work a lot with it. And then she said, I was on my horse, and suddenly I sat very good on it, and we had a good connection. And then something else was so clear for her, what she has to cite in her life, I would say. She didn't tell me what, but she looked in my eyes and she was happy because she found the solution in herself by being able to sense herself more, and then with her so beloved horse also in this combination. So it was a key moment for me as a teacher, that I didn't have to talk so much with her about it, but the method does this, that everything is combined and finds a way to move on.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe you also have an example like this in your practice when you work with people.
Yes, one student who, when I first met her, she couldn't even get on the floor to participate in our group classes. And just brings tears to my eyes now, thinking about how far she's come. And in the lesson that yesterday that I was talking about with the frog legs and movements, someone was saying, oh, I feel so pain. And she's like, I've discovered that if I get that kind of sense of pain, because she's lived for years in chronic pain, she just talks to herself. She tells herself that she's safe, that she's comfortable, that it's okay. Her body can move like this. And she explained how she was out walking and she slipped or stumbled and felt the pain come up through her ankle, through her knee, through her hip, up to her shoulder. And she's like, no, I'm not going there. That's okay. Just breathe through it. Just move through it. So it was lovely to hear her talk about being able to switch instantly when something like that happened to her.
Yes, and it combines this, that they do something and that you are in a state where you move, where you are in your own space of experience yourself. And that is what I think we do. We give a space to explore throughout movement. And that's so interesting. But
yeah, I like to say, and I believe many practitioners will say this, we're just guides. We're guides. We're not pushing this on anybody. We're not we're just guiding them to their own experience of themselves. So.
And Angela, I know you said something about of coming only working with dancers, because I think I assume that you are like very good, if you can say it like this, and it because you know what they need, or because you feel this so much, but you brightened your audience, I would say, that
Yes.
you open yourself to other people. But how was your journey going on?
After dances?
Yeah,
Or
so no, after dancers, and then that you open your praxis more to people who are not dancers.
yes,
After the experience with your son, what came
yes.
next?
Well, in opening my practice, I decided to use online technology to spread the message of my work and Feldenkrais in general. And so I started using Facebook advertising, email marketing, live video, and that really is how I've built my practice, using this technology, and how I have a following, an international following, and international students. And it was during one of my campaigns, as we say in the online business, I was sharing about my classes. Another Feldenkrais practitioner said, "Angela, this looks amazing. How do you do it?" And so I thought to myself, well, I do really love teaching, and I love working out how all this technology fits together and the strategy behind sharing a message online. So I thought I'll start teaching others. Funny thing is, that teacher has never come to work with me. But I have had many others. So she was a catalyst for me to become a coach in the online marketing.
And I know so many people sometimes ask me, wow, you do this. So I also do, I'm not afraid about the technical stuff. Do you know why you did this? Was it easy for you, or you had contact before with?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No, it's like, do you remember starting when you first rode a bike? We're going to be a bit wobbly at the start. We need the trainer wheels. We need our parents alongside of us saying, it's okay. So, yeah, no. And I share that always when I speak with new students. When I first started, I had no idea. And when I first started, it was just when live video started to come out. And, I had shared with you, I was struggling myself personally with some issues and a bit of anxiety and not really being social. And I started doing live video during that time. So that was a big challenge. So yeah, it's something that you just have to decide, this is a message that I want to share. And the reframe that I tell everyone, the first reframe to make is think about who you can help by sharing your message, by sharing your gift, by sharing what you have to offer the world. Don't leave it about you that, oh, I'm scared, I don't know what to do, or it might break. It's not going to break. So, and it's not like a book where it's written in stone. There is the delete button. So
Yes, yeah. That's so good. That's again a point I think, can you repeat? Also for me, but maybe it's also time to share how I came up with this podcast. It was an overnight idea to do this. And so I started, and really, at the beginning, it was like, yeah, I can't say, it was really like learning to ride a bike. And you had this nice image of the parents are standing beside, yes, you're doing good, and try again, and oh, you fall down, and they do the emotional caring for you at the beginning, what parents hopefully do, and so many parents do just a good job. And if not, or they, now I'm grown up, it's not their job anymore to stand beside me and to say, you're doing good, Christina, and this, or it's my own job. And that was also key for me when I started with this, and it was overwhelming to find out about all the thing, what to do to have a podcast online and this all. But it was really like step by step what you learn with the Feldenkrais method, and to have this inner conversation. It's okay, and I publish, and sometimes I think, oh, can I publish the first podcast? And I want to say, please hear the first podcast, and you will smile. But every time when I hear them again, I think, okay, it's like the time, but it was worth to do it and to hear it again. Also the old ones. It's so interesting, especially the ones in English or Spanish, the first in Spanish. If you can understand a little bit of Spanish, it was so hard for me. But it was so important that they are out, that they are, and the Spanish people, they were perfect in their language. So it wasn't so important. So I would say, please do the things and do it in steps. And that's really amazing.
Yeah, do it in steps. That's what we were talking about before we discussed.
Yes, doing it in steps, which are good for you, but move on. And I think you move on too. So what's your next step?
Well, my next step is to start doing interviews as well.
Yes.
I'm going to start interviewing people in complementary Feldenkrais, methods complementary to our method. So Alexander, yoga therapy, somatics, all types of yoga, and get a sense of their own experience of their work, and talk about how they're complementary and can work together.
That's really cool. I like this idea that there's more out and about this, and information, and also about other methods, that this is so interesting how we can come together, but we have all in the background the same more idea to have a combination of everything, not a single thing, I think, but we are specialized in one thing to the other thing. Oh, so that's so interesting. I didn't know this before. So, wow, cool.
I'm doing it the opposite way around to you. I may do the podcast later, but to begin with, it will be video interviews. So the opposite of you, because I'm used to video.
So interesting. But in your work as a coach for, Feldenkrais practitioner to move online, you are only for Feldenkrais practitioner, or you're also...
No, not at all. No, I have a somatic student. I've worked with a local practitioner that runs women's retreats, one-day retreats, gorgeous, to go and spend the day looking after yourself, and just other people in wellness and health mostly. Yeah. So my coaching, usually it's a 12-week intensive program, but my idea is to keep everyone together and become a community of like-minded individuals that really want to show up and share their message with the world, and discover how to do that in the best way, the way that's going to land on the ears that need to hear about what they have to offer. So, and that's always a work in progress. I'm still learning. And as I learn, I share with my community. So
that's great. I like this. And yes, but you took my question because I think you gave already the answer. What is key? What can you say to people who want to have yes, a practice, or that what they do flourish more?
For online or
Online, yes, online, yes.
the first, the one thing I want to encourage everybody, if they are watching this and they want to share their gift, I do believe everyone has a gift to share, is tell their story. Learn how to tell their own story of how they come to do what they're doing, because that is your own intellectual property. It'll help you stand out from another Feldenkrais practitioner. And people, you know, it's about human connection. People want to connect with the human. If we always talk about our service and the, you know, that they're not going to connect with who you are and why you do what you do, because they want that connection with you first. So
Angela, so nice to talk with you, because you bring all the things to me back, because that's a good point to bring it back to you. How does your whole journey with the Feldenkrais method brought you to the point you are at the moment, and brings you further on, if you maybe where you stand now today emotionally? And yes, we have two words, bodily and emotionally, but you know, is there a word existing, the whole or together? I don't know.
Well, I was using body fullness instead of mindfulness, body fullness, because we get full in our body, and our body is our brain as well.
Like this, body fullness.
Yes.
Good. And there you think you stand, that you feel like a person who can say, yes, I'm body full.
Yes. Can I say that? Oh, it's still a work in progress.
Yes.
Still more to learn, even after 20 years now.
But that's the point. I think it's not a state you reach.
No.
It's not like, even when you buy a car, it will be broken in one day. And also you have to bring it to a garage to work on it. And so it is like everything has to be looked after, to must be feed and this.
Yes.
If you have a garden, you have to give water and you seeds and everything. It's and this is a process. I think it's very clear that it's not that you can be there, but it's not like standing still. I think that this is also a key point, to be, it is like this and I have to be like this, and there's only a way. If I want to change, it's like a revolution, and I think that's not so important. You can change very soft and integrate every change into your life with a very soft way, if you know how. And that was something I understood in the last half year with the, yes, I think not only for me, life-changing time we have, that I think the Feldenkrais method helps me a lot to come through this time, to say, okay, everything is so much changing for me, but I have some tools to go through. Breathing is so key at the moment. First, okay, lie down, try this, and then, okay, the next day is again a day, and there will come solutions if I go in this. So that's my process, to be very clear about it, that I think now I'm so happy that I'm also in touch about more than 20 years with the Feldenkrais method, and I started my training in 1999, and yes, 1 year before, but but we are like similar, that I have these tools, this mindset. I think it's also a certain mindset. What do you think? What you earn when you work a lot with this method?
Yeah, definitely a mindset.
Yeah.
To continue wanting to learn and grow and experience. Yeah, and we've both highlighted how our students help us learn as well. So it's a two-way street, which is fabulous.
Nice you bring this up, that the students also help us to learn. Do you have another example about this, or can you explain more closely what you mean by this?
So recently I had a dance residency. I was asked to apply for this dance residency to be in a studio and develop a dance Feldenkrais curriculum or explore. And it was I was going to run a workshop, but unfortunately with COVID, I didn't have enough time to know that if we were going to run the workshop. Anyway, I got to work with one dancer in particular who she was very young, and she walked in the studio and had never done Feldenkrais before. And she was 19 years old and already had hip surgery. So she was at the start of her journey. And I asked her to perform a very a well-known choreography that she'd been doing. So she did that when she first walked in before doing any Feldenkrais. And then I explored with her about 10 lessons. You okay?
Yes. I had to close the window because it was so noisy immediately. Sorry.
That's okay. So over the course of our exploration in 2 days, we did about 10 short ATM lessons. And for me, watching how she arrived at each lesson, I asked her to, so if I was doing a shoulder lesson, I got her to do some shoulder movements, and then would do the shoulder lesson and explore the movements, and then get up and see how that resonated with her body. And that was just a lovely experience. At the end of the 2 days, she danced again, and the difference is so amazing. So it was a real eye-opener to me. It's just how easily our work can transfer onto intelligent bodies of dancers. So I'm excited to share that process very soon in the coming months.
Very interesting. And I think one information I have now, because I know you only online. So what I understood is that you also work in your praxis. I can come to you in your praxis, or
yes.
One can book you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I have actually been working as a high school dance teacher for a few years as well, and exploring with my dance students and they teach me how to find the language for those young people as well, and how much Feldenkrais group lessons they can handle, because they're not going to lie down on the floor for 45 minutes like a group lesson. So yeah, that's been fun.
Yes, wonderful. So I think all my questions are done. What I was so curious about to talk with you, and maybe, but you have something inside you want to say, oh, Christina, why didn't you ask this? I want to speak about it. So that's the moment, please.
I think you've covered everything. Yeah, I can't think of anything. Sorry.
So that's great. But is there anything else you want to send out to the world?
Well, just know that I do have online classes, and the way that I share that is through a subscription, blended subscription. So they get the group classes audios as well as the group classes. And like I'm all about building the community. So it's a really lovely community to come and join us with those classes. I do have a program which is specifically designed for movement professionals, yoga, Pilates, dance teachers, so that they can learn the techniques of the Feldenkrais method. They don't become Feldenkrais practitioners, but they can share these techniques in their classes. And like I've just said, there's sometimes just small little exploratory movements that they can do with their students. If they see their student is tight through their shoulder or not able to, you know, position their pelvis in a yoga asana, but they can get the language about getting that student to explore from the inside. And then of course there's my dance workshop that I'm working on, and hopefully I would love to be able to tour that, not just in Adelaide, but across Australia and across the world. So we'll see where that takes me in the next few years, to take that Feldenkrais dance exploration to everyone live when we're allowed to travel again.
Wow, yeah, that's something, and we will see step by step what will change in the next weeks, months, and years, how we go through this time of life. And so I think, or I hope that for some people this talk was also helpful to go through this and to stay, yes, maybe also to say a bit, okay, it's different now, but what is in there? What can I learn in this time? And how can I do something different? Yes. And that this can be something maybe interesting. I know by myself it is also challenging, but if you change a little bit the view on it, so that it's at the moment my idea of what I want to send out, or maybe to say at the end of this talk, that there's also something, or we say there's a chance into it. Yeah, there can be a chance into this time, but how to find it if you struggle at the moment. But to lie down and to feel yourself and to maybe find new movements with the help of Angela, or when you go to my website. So I'm offering online classes in German, not English yet. So, but this is so, yes, that can be a way to go through this time and to have new ideas. Not that someone says to you, you have to do this, but that you lie down and you feel yourself, and then I'm so sure you will find your way by yourself. You will have new ideas of where's the other door to open. There are so many doors in the world, but
to go forward, we need to, I like what you're saying there, to move forward through this, we do need to have different coping mechanisms and breathe, you know, learn to breathe deeply. That's what really helped me through my adversity. So yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, that's it. So thank you, Angela. It was my pleasure to have you here as a guest, and hopefully I will see a lot of lovely things on Facebook, what you are sharing with us. And I liked so much the style you sent out with your photos and little videos. Really, it's very attracting for me, and also something like you gave me a picture before also to come out. Even I didn't do your coaching yet, but what you sent out is so helpful. It was so helpful for me. So thank you.
And I do have a YouTube channel as well, so I'm going to start posting more there. I really do like video. Mm.
Yes, and please look to all her stuff. It's so, so nice, and you will have a good time with her.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, Angela.
See you.